Welcome to Feeling Seen, the podcast about the movies and characters that make us feel seen. I'm Jordan Crucchiola, and this week my co-host is director Tina Romero. Tina's new film, Queens of the Dead, not only marks a spectacular and very gay feature debut of a talented and creative writer-director, it also continues the grand Romero family tradition of classic zombie films. Because yes, Tina is the daughter of George A. Romero. You heard it correctly, the pioneer of the genre from the 1970s onward. Tina is feeling seen by the character Peter Pan, and we'll learn why in just a moment. As you'll hear, Queens of the Dead is a movie that really made me feel seen, and I'm thrilled to get the chance to talk about it with Tina this week. Tina Romero, what else do the people need to know about you before we get started? What are some table setting we should do to get people acquainted with Queens of the Dead?
Oh my gosh. Hi. Hi everybody. Thanks for listening. So psyched to be here. Thanks for that intro, Jordan.
Oh, of course. And thank you for thanking them for listening. Of course. Thank you everybody for being here. Of course. Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm Tina Romero. I am a Virgo, a proud Virgo, which is in many ways why I think I was able to get this movie done. And
I would love to hear you say more on that. I want to know about the specific qualities.
A high strong anxiety, to-do lists, perfectionism, strategy. I am an edgy cheeseball. I like to tell people that I'm an edgy cheeseball, meaning like I grew up on Pippi Longstocking and Bye Bye Birdie and West Side Story and the 80s Disney. And then I would like walk to the bathroom at night past a terrifying movie poster of Monkey Shines with that terrible monkey with the symbols. And that
fucking that VHS cover
I know
haunted me every time I would go to the video store because I was very much in the horror section. I just God, one of the best covers of any movie ever. Really just an emotional imprint.
I know. Really emotional imprint. And so, I would look at that every night. There was Fluffy's crate from Creepshow right outside my bedroom. And there was, it had chains on it and there was some dried fake blood. And I knew it was a prop, but I wasn't convinced that Fluffy wasn't in there.
Sure.
So I always walked a little bit more quickly past that. So I think my world growing up was this very strange mashup of dark and light shit. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really at the core of my creativity. I am a Beyonce son with a Miley moon. And I am a big fan of the Gilmore Girls. That's something that people might. I'm wearing my Hanson t-shirt today.
Oh, okay.
Bop. They were my first loves. I did think when I saw the music video for Bop, I did think Taylor was a girl. And that was probably confusing to me in the 90s in a good way. And I just was I was that teeny bopper. And to this day, Gilmore Girls is my Golden Girls. It's what I put on as a lullaby. And I bring that up because I actually think, I don't think anyone would guess it, but I actually think there's Gilmore Girls influence in Queens of the Dead. The ensemble.
Say more. Tell us about the Stars Hollow in Queens of the Dead.
A quirky world where you have all these characters and this fast-moving, witty dialogue I feel like the way they shot Gilmore Girls, it's so fun. The way they have fun with the way people move in and out of shots and the way that they get all this dialogue covered in group shots it's so good in Gilmore Girls. And I did actually I wanted to bring a little bit of that flavor out in Queens of the Dead because we have an ensemble cast. And I needed to figure, we had one camera.
What an ensemble cast.
Oh my God.
What an ensemble.
I know. What an ensemble. It's a dream cast, a dream come true cast.
Katie O'Brien, Jack Haven, Jaquel Spivey, Tomas Matos, Dominique Jackson, Margaret Cho, Ricky Lindo, Nina West, Cheyenne Jackson, and then some. I know. What a collection of people to have in a room often in a room that I'm told was quite hot to shoot in. So everybody getting real close and real warm together.
We were in it. We were in it together. We were getting dirty. And I've been saying a lot, like it was all queens, no divas. And I was
Wonderful.
I was very nervous. I kept thinking like, am I gonna get to set and just blank out when I'm surrounded by these absolute icons staring
Mhm.
at me, like waiting for me to tell them what to do? And it couldn't have been more opposite. It was a joy. It was an absolute pleasure to work with these people. They all are such professionals and all had such a spirit of play.
Mm.
And I was nervous. This was a family style shoot. We didn't have trailers. We didn't have private dressing rooms. Like we were just eating off the same plastic plates together. Zombie extras and Katie O'Brien together
Yeah.
in the same room at mealtime. But there's also like we had the second AC is on a first name basis with Dominique Jackson, and that's not always the case on a set. And I think that there's really something to that. And there's a certain magic that money can't buy, and there's a camaraderie that happens when you're in the thick of it trying to make something crazy happen for not a lot of money. And everybody got the assignment. And this group of people, they really understood like we together as a company like we kind of had a shorthand. Like we knew when we had to do the scenes that were like, you got to hit your marks, you got to get your lines, we got to get it in the can. And then they could tell when it was okay to play. Like if I didn't call cut, they knew, okay, we can kind of improv. We can go off book. We can have some fun. And there's actually some of my favorite moments of dialogue in this movie are improvised. There's a couple of gems that just came out of these geniuses that made it in the final cut.
And I feel like in a piece as queer to its bones as Queens of the Dead, it feels like it's something that just invites so much, that sense of bringing something spontaneous to the moment. Because, like, I mean, there's something about queer humor on its feet that is so brightly embodied by drag itself. Like, don't go toe to toe in like a showdown with a drag queen, because like nobody's going to be a sharper blade like in the moment reacting to something than that. And I feel like that sense of people just being able to bring the authenticity of themselves and community vernacular and in speak really comes through in Queens of the Dead.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. More queers all the time, please. And that's what we set out to do with this. We wanted to flip the script on the zombie survivalist crew. Instead of having your token gay, we wanted the entire crew to be queer, with our one straight guy from Staten Island who didn't think he was going to be here on a Saturday night, but ultimately is pretty glad that he is.
Yeah.
And I think what this does by having the full spectrum in this survival crew and in this room and on this set is nobody is tasked with representing the queer community by themselves. No one has to carry the weight of like, I am the gay in this movie and I am the representational force. Yeah. Everybody was there. And so it was like, it was a shared burden that we all had, not burden, a joy actually.
Sure.
And I think everyone is able to relax into their own authentic skin a little bit more on set in their characters. I just think there's something to that about being in community and being in that. And also, by the way, our crew was gay as hell. We had wonderful. Like a 98% crew. This set was run by lesbians. Okay. and there's
who you can count on to run a space like a Navy ship.
That's right. And we, it just makes me so happy. So many carabiners on set. And
I went to the Renee Rapp concert on Friday in LA and was commenting throughout the night of the amount of carabiners on just around the crowd. It really is.
Everybody got their keys at a moment's notice. You know what?
You don't have to be near your house. You never know when you could need them.
That's right. Yeah. So I think that the sense of community on screen and off screen was really authentic. And on screen, this is a movie about the community surviving something crazy. And that was the case off screen too. It's a miracle we pulled this movie off. And I know that we pulled it off because of the gays. Like we got this shit done. and that is why everyone looks so damn good the entire way through. They are fighting zombies, and yet there is not a strand of hair out of place, honey. Like they are walking out of that club looking fierce.
Well, I found such the character that you brought to discuss. I was so interesting to think about in the context of seeing Queens of the Dead and talking to you and getting to talk to you about that. So you said for your pick you went with the original Disney animated Peter Pan.
Yeah.
So what was as a it sounds like from the very beginning an edgy cheese ball. Yeah. What was the first point of connection to Peter Pan?
I don't think I had the term for it at the time, but it's the androgyny. It's the existing in a space that's like, are you a boy or are you a girl? And I remember being a little confused. I love the story of Peter Pan. I still do. The first feature script I ever wrote, which I'm going to dig out and I'm going to give a look at again, is a modern queer gender swapped take on Peter Pan. I think it's a perfect story. It speaks, of course, in addition to the fact that like, who wants to grow up? I don't want to grow up ever.
I'm so glad you came back tonight. I might never have seen you.
Why?
Because I have to grow up tomorrow.
Grow up?
Tonight's my last night in the nursery.
But that means no more stories. No, I won't have it. Come on.
But where are we going?
To Neverland.
Neverland.
You'll never grow up there.
Oh, Peter, it would be so wonderful. But wait. What would Mother say?
Mother? What's Mother?
Why, Peter, a mother's someone who loves and cares for you and tells you stories.
Good. You can be our mother. Come on.
Now, just a minute.
And also the fact that like, what more than to be able to fly? How fucking cool. And like, so the fantasy of Peter Pan sparked my imagination in all the ways. But I could never decide come Halloween time if I wanted to be Peter, Wendy, or Tinkerbell. I felt myself in all of them. And I was like, young me was even a little bit like turned on by both Wendy and by Peter. And I couldn't figure out like it confused me in a gender way early on. And it confused me in an exciting way. I was like, this confuses me. And I think Peter Pan is such an androgynous character, of course, enforced by the fact that it goes on, Mary Martin goes on to play Peter Pan. It's often cast as a woman. And like
when NBC did the live musical of it, they cast Allison Williams.
Exactly. And there's just that gender play in this character. And I think you can feel that even in the animated version. I think you can feel the androgyny there. And so I think that's why I picked this character, is because I do feel so in the middle in that way. Like I feel both masculine and feminine, and I have for a long time, like so I think that's what it is about Peter Pan mostly.
Let's see, do you like it?
Yes!
Do you want to learn?
Teach me! Teach me!
All right, well, first I must throw the fairy dust on you. There. Now, think lovely thoughts.
Think lovely thoughts.
I was listening to an interview where you talked about it, because you spent a lot of time in New York City, where you talked about the importance to you of this feeling like a New York, a sense of place in New York, and a cast of people familiar to you in the queer party scene of New York City. And I wanted to hear about pulling together something that felt like it was spanning the breadth of what you'd experienced, and be like, but not in a checking boxes kind of way, but pulling together an assemblage of what would be on screen, where we could watch it and feel kind of that sense of transported to the club kid space of queer people finding community and joy within each other, even amid, as we see in a zombie apocalypse scenario, the worst possible of situations, and sort of in a foxhole, nobody has a designation that matters beyond how you can help each other survive the day.
Yeah. Well, we shot Jersey for Brooklyn, aka New Hollywood, and so there was like I was like, how are we gonna paint Bushwick? Like, how are we gonna show Bushwick in Jersey? And I think we found a great location called the Art Factory. It is an old warehouse that is kind of turned into a wedding factory. Like they did 6 weddings a weekend, because it's all these giant rooms with lots of windows, which is also problematic because this movie takes place at night. We spent a lot of time hanging curtains to block out the light so we could shoot day for night. And we didn't have a lot of production design budget. We really didn't have a lot to work with. So what that meant is that the costumes and the characters needed to sing loudly. And I really got to shout out David Tabbert, the costume designer of this movie, because he understood the assignment and he was able to like create, like we wanted to have this 90s club kid DIY rock and roll punk aesthetic in the way that everyone was dressed. And I think he just did such a perfect job down to the extras. I think that the flavor of Brooklyn, I think it comes from the costumes, the New Yorky jokes, like the fact that we do get to see the subway. Yeah. And then just the fact that when you are in New York, like you are not Bushwick is interesting because you are a little more isolated than you would be in Manhattan. And I wanted to set it in Bushwick because there's a delay, right? Like the dead start rising, it's gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse in Manhattan first, and then it'll start to get bad in the city. So there's this waiting time when like they could hunker down. It's like I think ultimately in a zombie apocalypse in this city, you gotta go. You can't stay here. Right. But like you have a little bit more time in Bushwick to decide if you're going to stay or do you go. And also like Bushwick is kind of on the way to Queens, and I really wanted the boat to be in Queens because I the double meaning of Queens of the Dead. And so I think like I hope that people do feel Brooklyn and do feel a sense of New York because we don't zoom out. We didn't have the money to like see a bunch of zombies walking across the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting too watching Peter Pan and thinking about this conversation and seeing like feeling that sense of suspension of time that you see with Peter and the Lost Boys. And it is a place of like, and it's not your job to have been thinking about this in these terms. Like you're like, I connect this, like, here's how my origin story is, it's working way. But like looking at it as sort of like this group of people for whom there is the way that they can have fun and love where they are and just be boys forever it seems like a bargain of that is they lose their memories. And Wendy has to explain to them what a mother is. Because they're like, I had a mom once. Yeah.
And you are Mother Wendy? Why, Michael, of course not. Surely you hadn't forgotten our real mother. Did she have silky ears and wear a fur coat? Oh, no, Michael. That was Nana.
I think I had a mother once.
What was she like?
I forget.
I had a white rat.
That's no mother!
No, boys. Please. I'll tell you what a mother is. Yeah, tell us. Please, Wendy. Well, a mother, a real mother, is the most wonderful person in the world. She's the angel voice that bids you good night, kisses your cheek, whispers, sleep tight.
And it was so interesting thinking about like these people in your movie, and as we see so often in queer community around us, like people who have had to find their Neverland, to find their place where they can inhabit their youth and inhabit the love of their life and live it loudly. It doesn't require necessarily like erasing your past, but it is a conscious decision to go away from the place that you started, to go to the place that you can become. Yeah. And it was like, just watching it in this very contained like club setting, that is for purposes of fun. But when you put it in like a 30,000 foot view, the purposes of history, like these clubs are refuges, like these clubs are safety, and they are community, and they are away from the things that might have tethered you to something bad or dangerous, where it is a place of liberation. And I kind of couldn't get out of my head as I was watching Peter Pan, thinking of the clubs and like the circuit parties and the very gay dance party spaces as like these, roving Neverlands.
100%. And in my Peter Pan script, Tinkerbell is the DJ. And DJ T-Bells. What are the Lost Boys and Wendy and Peter other than a little chosen family? They have to form their own family unit because they don't have families, and that is so often the case in the queer community. I feel like for me personally, I have found so much of my chosen family in and met many of those people in the clubs, and it is different. It's not club life for the queers is about so much more than a great party. It really is it's a meeting point where you can find like-minded individuals who will support you no matter what you're wearing, no matter how you want to present. It's a meeting grounds. It is an organizing grounds. It is so important for us, and it has been historically, and I hope it continues to be. I hope that we can continue to figure out how to have these kinds of experiences in person, like, and put our phones down and like experience what it's like to dance together in a place, and actually like have human connection. Because I do feel like that's shifting a little bit. Like I feel like the phone apocalypse is so scary, and like we can't relax enough without our phones, and we can't, like, it's harder for people to just relax into a party setting, and like people are just like on their phones the whole time. And I really hope that that can change a little bit. I went to recently, where was it? Was it somewhere nowhere? No, Nowadays, on a Sunday at a spot in Brooklyn where they actually require you to put your phone, you can't have your phone on the dance floor.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, yes, this is good. No phones on the dance floor. I love that.
I did go to a concert. This was not like a queer space subtextually for very like tortured youth reasons, but I went with my wife to a Nessa Barrett concert. And it was fascinating to see, which like rife with a lot of lesbians in a Nessa Barrett space. It's a fascinating kind of petri dish of life. But there was a girl diagonal from me, a couple rows down, who the entire show didn't ruin my experience, but it was the entire show.
Yeah.
She was filming herself through a Snapchat filter, singing the concert. Like, she was like singing along with, and like, it wasn't even like the whole time she was filming Nessa performing. The entire time, like, I don't think she broke one time. Just had her phone up with like the selfie, like rim light feature from Snapchat end to end. And I was just like, that's so interesting. Like, what is this memorialized for you? Like when you go back and you're like, I'm going to watch what I filmed again.
Yeah.
You're going to see you. You're going to see you.
Well, because everything's becoming a content opportunity. Yeah. I guess. It's like everything is for content. And it's it's creepy. I feel like we are about to see some really crazy shit in the next few years as far as tech goes. And like what I feel like that our whole world is going to shift with AI, and I don't know what that's going to look like.
Right.
But there are scary times afoot. I'm pretty scared of what's coming. And I feel happy that this movie is like leans a little bit more comedy than it does horror, because I think that we are like, we need a little bit, we need some lightheartedness right now. At least I do.
And to what you were saying about like, you know, the sharing spaces together and what that does for us, and the salvation of that it can be, like I've absolutely noticed in the deeply challenging nature of this year. Times when I went to a Patagonia drag show that was like a combination like drag spectacular and environmental consciousness, raising event.
Yeah.
and recently participating in the AIDS Walk here in West Hollywood, here in LA, and the feeling of like things I would have always liked doing. But as I get older and as things feel more harrowing all the time, I find in those, when I'm in places like that around my community and in such like joyful, celebratory, protective ways, there is a layer of poignancy of the way that I experience even the most like frivolous looking thing, if it is in a community of people who have historically been othered, and we kind of thought we'd crawled our way forward, and now being sort of batted back down again from the highest levels. It feels regenerative to be. And then like to have something like a Queens of the Dead, or it's like, I got to see it play at Beyond Fest here in Los Angeles, so I got to see it in a theater.
Oh, amazing. Oh, yeah. That's so cool.
Fantastic. Yeah. And like to be able to see a movie like this and share it in a communal way feels like the best. Like to watch a movie like Queens of the Dead and be able to holler at the screen feels like the true queer experience of enjoying a queer piece of art together.
Oh, God, I love that. That's what I'm so happy that you got to see it in a theater at Beyond Fest.
Me too.
That was a great room. So I'm glad that you had that experience. And I do think like being in community is the antidote to what's going on right now. And like not sitting alone at night and doom scrolling by yourself into like, because I think that's what they want. They want us to be isolated and doom scrolling. I don't know who they is.
But we are I didn't enter this year feeling inclined toward conspiracy, but I'm certainly feeling more inclined toward it now than I was 9 months ago.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well,
So I think community is, we got to hang on to each other, and we got to stop fighting, and we got to put our phones down and just like hang out in real life.
It's time for a short break, but I'll be right back with Tina Romero, and in this next block, one of us gets a little emotional. Spoiler, guess who it is? So stay tuned for that. And then at the end, I will have one quick thing about another ladies' night movie that I hope you will go support in the theaters, and it is called Hedda, which we will talk about at the end.
Hi, I'm Travis McElroy. I'm here with Maria, and we're excited because as a member of the month, Maria, thank you so much for being a listener and a supporter of the show.
Hi.
How did you find out about the shows?
When my daughter was in high school, we kind of connected over Taz. She introduced me to Schmanners and Sawbones.
What made you decide to become a Max Fun member?
I kind of decided that with the economy being so difficult, it was worth me giving up my Starbucks to join in with you guys.
Well, Maria, I owe you a cup of coffee then. At some point, I'll get a cup of coffee into your hands to pay you back.
Okay.
Maria, again, thank you so much for your support.
Thank you very, very much for your time and getting a chance to be the member of the month. My daughter was shocked when she found out about it, so I can't wait for her to actually maybe catch a little bit of this. I can rub it in her face a little bit.
That's what we do it for. Thank you, and thanks to everybody for your support. Maria, have a great month.
You have an amazing month as well.
Become a Max Fun member now at MaximumFun.org/join.
Hey.
Hey there.
Do you love reading smut?
Erotica?
Romance?
Romantasy?
Is your e-reader full of horny fairies and sexy shifters?
Are your shelves bursting with enemies to lovers?
We're reading smut, your new fated mate.
Every other Friday, we dive into sexy books and talk to the people who love them.
Consider this our meet cute.
Reading Smut, every other Friday on Maximum Fun.
There are such great punctuating moments of loss and feeling in this movie, and I did not expect to feel teary-eyed right now. Apologies. Wow,
Jordan.
Weird. There's the line in the movie where they're about to like light it up. It's like, fuck, we're trapped in this club, and part of the solution is going to be like they've noticed the zombies are drawn to like sound and commotion, which makes sense, but like particularly to like loud spectacle. Yeah. And Katie's a DJ in this movie, and they're gonna put on the biggest party ever is what they're gonna do. Yeah. Because they have a whole plan, like lure the zombies in, evade the zombies. Won't get into the specifics. But so they have this whole plan, and she's like getting ready to fire this place up, and somebody says to her like we want to just like dance now. You want to put this music on now? Like this is life and death. This is life or death. And Katie responds, and I won't nail it exactly, but she says something to the effect of like, it's life and death. Yeah. It's both, because it always is. Yeah. And I really, really liked that line. Yeah. Because it always is. It always is. When you have marginalized and ostracized people, it is always life and death at the same time. And you can't live at you can't just exist at the expense of like knowing death is always there. Like you have to live in spite of it. Yeah. And I wanted to hear more from you about sort of that line specifically, because it feels like such an animating aspect of this group in this movie and what this group is representative of for the culture that it is drawn from. And I just wanted to hear you talk about like that notion of, it's both at the same time. Yeah. And so what are you going to do? Pick death or pick life? Yeah. Because they're both knocking on the door all the time, and we have to keep living in spite of it, in spite of death. You said it so beautifully. Like it is always both for us. And the other line that she has is we're never ready, open the doors. And both of the like that we're never ready, open the doors, and then it's both. It's always both. Yeah, I really feel like our
I kind of quote them to myself all the time. Like even today before this press day, I was like, Tina, we're never ready. Open the doors.
Yeah.
And like, I also think that the both and, oh, you're so sweet. Oh my God, it's so sweet that you're moved. The both and of life is so important. It's just never as simple as it seems.
Yeah.
It's never black and white. It really isn't. I mean, maybe when it comes to certain things like bombing children. But
Right.
like, a lot of the time it's more complicated than it seems. And like, it's so easy to be mad and write people off because they're listening to the wrong shit or they're posting the wrong shit, but there's more to it than that. Like this person also has a beating heart and actually might have all the things we need also to be on our team fighting alongside us. And so I think the spirit of like it's always both is really about like not seeing the world as black and white as often we do.
Mhm.
And yeah, it is like it is a life or death situation, but like that doesn't mean that we can't have a dance party, because so often, like, again, we fight so that we can dance.
Yeah.
You know, like we do this fight so that we can party with each other as queer people. So yeah, I'm so glad that line spoke to you. It really is. Like it is that, and then when Samantha says like we got to let the motherfucking monsters in, like those two lines were like in my mind very clearly from the beginning. Like I feel like we were writing to get to those those moments.
Well, it was something that you and your co-writer were working on for so long. I think I saw somewhere you mentioned like about upwards of 10 years.
Yeah, we're moving into 10-year territory. Yeah, right. 8 or 9.
And with the aspects of sort of like the device addiction and with the way things have changed, God, so much in this past 10-year frame specifically, had you noticed like any key elements that like you were adapting from your 10 years ago self to your present day self, where it's like we kind of this was a movie for another time with this in it, but to bring it to now, we need to kind of hone in on something different or sharpen this or go away from this?
Well, I think, honestly, a lot of the script remained. A large part of the first drafts we wrote were huge. Like, huge. There was there was another party. There was a Wall Street party, too. They went to save Sam's brother. They got to the waterfront. They fought zombies. Like, it was just unhinged as far as, like, we wrote without any sense of budget or shootability or anything like that. And so, but yeah, I think, like, the phones were always there. We've been dealing with these phones for a long time.
Yeah.
And on our list, like, we got out the whiteboard, Aaron and I, we were like, okay, for this comedy, we actually started with all the dark shit. We started with like what are the social commentary dark issues that we want to address? Because, you know, my dad, one thing I wanted to stay true to in the Romero universe is my dad never gave a scientific explanation for why the dead are rising. It's not a tainted monkey bite. It's not a bad pill. It's not, you know, there's not one reason. It is more about deep collective spiritual unrest, you know, a collective longing.
Yeah.
And so we were like, okay, what's part of our collective longing? And we had phones, social media addiction, device addiction was top of the list. And then, you know, infighting in the community, corporate poaching of queer talent, drug abuse, opioid epidemic. These were some of the things that we put on our list. And then we had our characters, and then we were like, how do we weave the dark shit into these character arcs? And once we had all that mapped out, then it was like easier to play and find the lightness and find the comedy and find the jokes. But I do think like the phone stuff was always there from the beginning. Yeah,
it really and like with Peter Pan too. Like I was thinking about this person who is sort of disconnected from he's kind of the oldest one of the Lost Boys. He's the leader, but they're all sort of, besides Peter, they're sort of divorced from a sense of like there are no other elders. Like there's no other kind of like history, again, because they're always also like forgetting everything. They have to exist in Neverland.
And Johnson! Well, I'm certainly proud of you, you blockheads. I bring your mother to tell you stories.
Mother?
And you shoot her down.
Whoa! Tink said it was a bird.
Tink said what?
Well, she said you said to shoot it down.
Tinkerbell. Tink! Come here. You're charged with high treason, Tink. Are you guilty or not guilty?
And there is a generational tension within Queens of the Dead and the characters in it. And you see that play out most broadly with like Jinsey and Tomas Matos's character. And the way that there's this kind of like, okay, you old bitch, like a sort of hand waving off of Jinsey. And it's so, I think about it so much because my wife is younger and so I'm around like her obviously a lot and her friends, and there's such a, not that like I came into like really diving into the history of queer folks when I was like, you know, younger either, but it feels like with information delivery being so siloed and being so curated to our interest, the notion of sort of like happening upon things that make us uncomfortable or unexpected is we don't dig through the record crates to find things anymore. It's all kind of like delivered to our inbox effectively. And I've been thinking about that in the terms of like, you know, growing up a privileged, like, middle-class kid in the, you know, 90s like I did, like, I wasn't thinking about, like, the shoulders of the feminists I was standing on to, like, have the opportunities that I did. And but it feels almost harder now for, I don't know, I'm seeing the way that young people are or are not accessing the fights that were had on their behalf to get to where they are. And it feels like there's this disconnect between a protest and what we have and struggle and what we have. And I saw like some young person speaking really like, you know, there's not as many Gen Z and I don't know if this is data, so I'm not, but the notion that like Gen Z folks being less represented at like a protest scene because they don't feel that they're seeing the yield of the fights that they've already waged. And it's kind of like, guys, the fights just keep going.
The fight's been going. The fight's
been going. The fight's like it didn't, there wasn't a point where it stopped. There was a point where it yielded enough to where it could feel like it stopped.
Yeah.
But that just meant that other people were doing the work for the most of us. Right. Who didn't have to be aware of the friction of the fight was still going on. And it feels, it's so fun watching a zombie movie filled with queer people. Yeah. Because it like, it is a group of people for whom the fight never really did stop. So when a new fight shows up at the doorstep, it's like, holy shit, it's the fucking zombies now. But it's like, hey man, like we never got to put the weapons down in the first place.
Right.
And that feels like a very logical extension of the queer experience and the zombie experience to be like, all right, like if you're ready to fight, like we never stopped kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love when Jinsey says, you know, in her speech to Nico, like, what is it with you young ones? It feels like you need a personalized, engraved invitation to feel like you belong. And I have talked to some young people who, you know, fresh in New York, and they're like, I don't know where to find community. I don't know how to find community. I'm just not even going to try. And it's like, no, like you are welcome here. You are invited here. We want to take you in. Intergenerational hangs are so important in the queer spaces.
That's a thing I like so much about this ensemble in Queen is that it like you feel the generations like meshing together in a way that is really authentic to being in a queer group.
Yeah. And we need, you know, like I need my queer elders and I need my queer youngsters. I really need the young ones and I need the old ones. And I think we need to keep sharing history with each other. And I just had the idea when you're talking, like I want them to do Drunk History, the queer version. Like I want to see
world-class comedy
queer,
right there.
Yeah, I want to see queer Drunk History next. I'm going to pitch it. I'm thrilled to see how many more young people feel like proud and out and like able to wear whatever the hell they want and play with gender and say like fucked binary. And it's like, it's refreshing and wonderful. But I also want them to know how it all came to be.
Well, I feel like to me there is, and I'm 40, like, so I'm not a Gen Zer, but like, so to me there is also like, you know, if you want to dip in and have just like Queens of the Dead as a super fun time, you can, but then it's also like, it's not far from my mind thinking about that, like, this is a community that has been sieged by a plague in a history that is so recent. Like this is a community for whom like the shadow of AIDS, like the surviving generation of the birth of the AIDS crisis. Yeah. They're still here. Like they're still here. And they're not like 110. Like this was the 80s, late 80s into the early 90s when people were wearing ribbons and awareness was being raised. So it's
And can you imagine, can you imagine being alive in a time when like your friends are dropping dead like that? I mean, we had COVID,
nobody survives. If you get this thing, that's it. Yeah, it's a matter of time, and it's it.
Yeah, I know. And that's what, there is some inherent richness there with the zombie apocalypse coming to a queer club. You kind of can't help but think of the parallels with AIDS, because zombies do not discern.
Nope.
Like it could be your best friend, it could be your mother, it could be your cousin. Like anybody is on the menu in the zombie apocalypse. It's not like vampires where you have to be chosen. Yeah, like it could literally be. Yeah, it could be your kid, like in Night of the Living Dead. Her own daughter kills her. But yeah, I think that there are some undeniable parallels. When you're in this setting, you can't help but think about the plague that our community did survive.
And so I guess like for my wrap-up question, then I would say, after a century of zombie films, like, the earliest horror was like, white zombie.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about this metaphor vehicle that, because sometimes whether they're fast, whether they're slow, whether they're somewhat sentient, like we have, in the 28 years later, we have now developed, it's evolved into like they're alpha zombies that like think and process and strategize and consider. What is it that, and it's one of the best movies of the year, what is it to you that remains enduring in the potency of the zombie framework for just staying so, like, of course the horror is compelling, but what makes it still such a rich narrative vehicle for you as somebody whose life is art and creative storytelling?
Wow. I think zombies are, well, there's so many ways to approach zombies. My personal favorite way to approach zombies is like, I think it's so rich with the potential for metaphor, because they are a version of, it's a monster that is just like the other side of a human. It's a mirror to the human. And so right there and there, you have a zombie facing off from a human, and there's much to be said there. It is underneath. The zombie was once a human. This was once a walking, breathing human. We can all relate to that. We can all relate to the zombie. It's just the other side it's just us on the other side. And so there's that. And then there's the inherent fact that, like, okay, one zombie is not a problem. Two zombies, not really a problem. Three zombies, a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But once you have a mass of zombies, you are in deep shit.
Yeah. And no matter what speed they're moving.
No matter what speed they're moving. That's the thing. And I think like that the mob mentality is terrifying in general. Like mobs are scary.
Yeah.
And a horde of a mob trying to eat you is a metaphor for so many things. And so there's just, it's so, and is also like a very bad situation to be in. So I think I like how the zombie can be both terrifying and silly and fun. And, I prefer my zombies a little silly. I think zombies are one of the most fun monsters out there, because like, how can you be mad at like a slow lumbering zombie who only wants to eat brains and is like dressed in the same outfit eternally? I think that I just think there's something for me very fun about the zombie. And so and that's what I wanted to bring out in this movie, is like because like, yes, my dad made some scary movies, but I think that underneath his films, there's actually a lot of silliness. He was a very silly guy. And so I wanted to bring that over. I wanted to make sure that my zombies had a little personality, that they were slow, that they are lumbering, and that they are like a little sympathetic too. Because I think that is what's special about this. I know, like, I think it can become something different when they're running. It's kind of a different monster.
Sure.
But the classic zombie, I think what's special about it is the ways that it can be playful. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come on here and talk about all of this stuff today, Tina. I truly appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. You are just a delight to talk to, Jordan.
Oh,
You're so smart. You're so articulate. I love talking to you.
No, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for the movie. It is so... especially as we arrive, like, yes, it is Halloween, but Halloween also corresponds with Prestige season. So as people go out to see things like Die My Love and a new Kelly Reichardt and things like that, I am glad that we too can rejoice in the silly side of zombies and a bunch of gays in one place, competing to take center stage.
Yay! I love it. Yes, go have some popcorn and see Queens of the Dead and have a fun night.
Thank you so much to Tina Romero. Queens of the Dead is in theaters now, and if there's a screening near you, what a great way to spend Halloween weekend. And you know what, if there's not one near you? I know somebody on Twitter who drove 2.5 hours each way to find it in a theater, and that is what I call supporting independent cinema. The movie is distributed by Shudder, so if you can't find a screening or you simply don't have it in you to make the drive, I think it's safe to say you should look out for it on that streaming platform in the future. But see it in a theater if you can. And now that one quick thing before I go. Speaking of seeing it in a theater if you can, the new feature film from Nia DaCosta, director Nia DaCosta, starring the Tessa Thompson, and my God, the Nina Haas, and let's say it, the Imogen Poots. Guys, this is I saw the trailer and I was like, ooh, society, backstabbing, sumptuous, maybe crime, what's going to happen, lesbians? And it is those things, but it played out in a way that I did not expect. It is a rich woman of society, played by Tessa Thompson, Hedda, we open on her, frankly, trying to drown herself in a lake. She's being called back to her grand manor. She walks out of a small body of water in a robe that has had pockets filled with rocks. And she returns to the scene where every member of the staff and every one of the workers they've hired for the day is prepping the estate for a grand soiree that night. It feels like she's already a member of society, but it almost feels like a society introduction for Hedda and her husband, who is also trying to impress the elites at the university because he is up for a prestigious professorship in the letters, English, the letters and such. And Hedda, the woman of the house, the complete dom wearing the pants in her relationship, and seemingly in any relationship she has going with anybody, of which there seem to be multiple at one time, Hedda seems likely to make this evening a real clusterfuck because it sounds like Hedda is not entirely content until chaos takes hold of an evening. She seems like a poor little rich girl who's also very dissatisfied with her station in life and seems to take out that dissatisfaction on those around her by treating people like her little pieces on a chessboard. And the evening, who could know if it's going to plan with the way Hedda is, but the dial on the chaos gets turned up extra high when her former flame, an incredible writer and academic herself, played by Nina Haas, shows up at the party, essentially uninvited, and she happens to be vying for the same professorship as Hedda's husband, who is a terribly boring and insecure man, and Nina Haas is a ravaging, confident woman of the hour who is also trying to claw her way back into society after a prior period of disgrace. We won't spoil the details. Anyway, incredible intrigue, incredible set pieces, incredibly vicious performance from Tessa Thompson. This, yet again, support the smaller movies, catch it while you can. We worry, of course, that it will be in and out of theaters fast, but do not miss Tessa Thompson and do not miss Nina Haas in Hedda. Please go see it. And that is our show. You can keep up with us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also hit that follow button wherever you are listening to get every new episode in your feed as it drops. You can follow us to find out more on Instagram at Feeling Seen Pod. We are also on Blue Sky. Just search Feeling Seen. If you want to follow me, I am Jor Crew, there as well as on Twitter. Our theme music is by Andrew Epen. Our producer is Marissa Flaxbart. Our senior producers are Kevin Ferguson and Laura Swisher, and this is a production of Maximum Fun.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows,
supported
directly
by you.